Hi, welcome to another episode of Story Time with Ms. B. Today, I think we're going to have time to do two things. So, when you see me with my pencil, we're going to try to do some reviewing of some kind. And I also have Teddy with me today, and he may be able to help us with some things. All right? So, let's go ahead and get started. Oh my goodness. Today we're going to review, of course, how to follow directions, how to read the directions, and what to do. Putting things in groups or categories. This category or group is toys. This category is animals. So let's read the directions to see what we have to do. Write the names of the toys on the left. Okay. Write the names of the animals on the right. Okay, left toys, right animals. Miss B, sometimes I get confused with my left and right. Well, let me give you a little clue. If you can remember your left hand and your right hand, that might be able to help you. So if you see something that says, write the numbers on the left side of your paper, then you think, oh yeah, my left hand. That means I can write it on that side of the paper. Then you'll see something that might say, write the numbers on the right side of the paper. And you think, oh yes, my right hand. So that means I can write something, the instructions, what it said to do, on the right side of the paper. So if you remember which hand is your left hand, which hand is your right hand, then that should be able to guide you on where to write whatever the instructions said. And if you need help, you can ask your teacher, mom and dad, auntie, uncle, big cousin, big sister, or brother. Can you please help me remember which side is my left hand, which side is my right side, my right hand? And then you say thank you. Okay? So, now that we know to write the toys on the left side and animals on the right side, let's see which picture name goes on which side. Okay, let's see what they are first. Cat, ball, cow, top, dog, doll. Okay, so I got it in my mind. Write the toys on the left, the animals on the right. Okay, cat. That's our first one. Cat is an animal. That's right. So where I see animals, that's where I'm going to write cat. C-A-T. Just like that. Let's go to our next word. Ball. Ball. Is that a toy or an animal? That's right. It's a toy. So I'm going to write B-A-L-L. Good job. Next, cow. Is that a toy or an animal? That's right. It's an animal. So I'm going to write it on the animal side. Cow. C-O-W. All right. Next one is top. Top. Is that a toy or an animal? That's right. It's a toy. Top. T-O-P. Just like that. Okay, so we got cat, ball, cow, top. Next one is dog. Dog. Roof, roof. Is that a toy or an animal? That's right. It's an animal. So I'm going to write dog. D-O-G. Just like that. And then the last one is doll. Doll. Is that a toy or an animal? Let me ask Teddy. Is that a toy or an animal? He said it's a toy. He was right. So there's enough space to write doll right on that side. D-O-L-L. Okay? So we have our toys, ball, top, doll on one side, and we have our animals, cat, cow, and dog on the other side. And we followed the directions. All right, give yourselves a round of applause. Round of applause. All right, we have just enough time to do a story. The best teacher in the world. How many of you think you have the best teacher in the world? Let's see what this is about. It's by Bernice Chardiet and Grace Maccarone. Pictures by G. Brian Karras. The best teacher in the world. I'll read it to you and show you the pictures. Good morning, class, Miss Darcy said. Who would like to take this note to Mrs. Walker? Everyone wanted to go. Miss Darcy was the best teacher in the whole world. She was very pretty and she was very smart. Martin Kafka waved his pencil case in the air. Everything came out. Brenda Wicker nearly fell off her chair. I'll go, she said. Bunny Rabisi raised her hand as high as she could. She wriggled her fingers. Oh, pick me, please. Bunny will go this time, said Miss Darcy. Bunny popped up from her seat. She stood up straight and tall. As she passed Brenda, Bunny felt a little kick on her ankle, but she was too happy to care. Miss Darcy gave Bunny the note. It was on a yellow piece of paper. The paper was folded in half. It wasn't sealed. Bunny walked across the room. Bunny heard a whisper. Have a carrot, Bunny Rabbit. Bunny knew it was Raymond. He always made fun of her name. Sometimes it made her cry. But not now. Bunny was happy and proud. She was taking a note to Mrs. Walker. She had her held up high, and she wore a big smile on her face as she left the room. Bunny closed the door behind her. Then her smile went away. Where was Mrs. Walker's classroom? Bunny did not know. Should she go back and ask? No, she could not. The others would laugh. Miss Darcy would think she was a dummy. Bunny would just have to try herself. She started to walk down the hall. Mr. Sherman's class was next door. Bunny already knew that. Mr. Sherman's class and Miss Darcy's class got together for recess. Miss Stone's class was across the hall. Bunny looked inside. Everyone was copying from the blackboard. The next door was closed. Maybe it was Miss Walker's room. Bunny opened the door. She hoped no one would notice her. But everyone did. The teacher was Mrs. Kyle. May I help you? She asked. The whole class watched. Bunny's face turned red. Quickly, she closed the door. Oh, Bunny passed room after room. She did not see Mrs. Walker. Many of the doors were closed, but she would not open them, not after she had made the mistake in front of Mrs. Kyle's class. Bunny walked up and down the hall twice. She looked in the library. She looked in the auditorium. There was no sign of Mrs. Walker's class. At last, she went back to her own classroom. The back door was open. Bunny waited outside where no one could see her. Miss Darcy was reading about the ugly duckling that turned into a swan. It was one of Bunny's favorite stories. Bunny wished she were inside. She wished someone else had taken the note to Mrs. Walker. Bunny wanted to cry. By now the yellow paper was wrinkled. What did it say? Bunny knew she should not look, but she had to. Bunny read, Nancy, meet me at Pine Street at 4 o'clock. Joyce. Bunny put the note in her pocket. She walked back into the room. Did Mrs. Walker say anything? Miss Darcy asked. Bunny lied. She said okay. Miss Darcy smiled. Thank you, Bunny. Bunny felt bad all afternoon. She kept thinking about her fib. She wanted to tell Miss Darcy the truth, but she didn't want Miss Darcy to think she was a dummy and now a liar, too. Finally, the bell rang. It was time to go home. It was Bunny's last chance to tell the truth, but the words would not come out. That night, Bunny could not sleep. She thought about Miss Darcy. Was she still waiting for Mrs. Walker on Pine Street? Bunny did not want to go to school the next day. Your eyes do look a bit red, said her mom. So Bunny stayed home. Mom took the day off from work. They played checkers and cards and Candyville. It should have been fun, but it was not. Bunny felt like a fibber and a fake. Tomorrow, she would go to school. The next morning, Bunny looked for Miss Darcy in the schoolyard. I have to tell you something, said Bunny. I didn't give your note to Mrs. Walker. I know, said Miss Darcy. I saw her in the parking lot after school, but you were very brave to tell me. Miss Darcy gave Bunny a hug. Just promise me one thing, she said. Never be afraid to ask a question when there's something you don't know. All right? Yes, said Bunny, and she hugged Miss Darcy back. Miss Darcy was the best teacher in the whole world. She was very pretty and very, very smart. The end. So there, wasn't that a good story, boys and girls? So like Miss B always says, never be afraid to ask questions so that you can do things right and get things done correctly. That was a good lesson. And it was also, there were a couple of things in there. A couple of classmates were kind of mean to Bunny. One tried to trip her on the way up. You remember seeing that? You remember seeing that? Ah. And then another classmate tried to tease her and made fun of her name. But that didn't let Bunny stop her. And she learned in the end to ask for directions. So remember, busy bees, when you're not sure of something, always be sure to ask your teacher. All right? That's why teachers are the best in the whole world. Thank you so much for your time. We did 2 things today. We learned about putting things in groups and categories, and we learned to read the words in the little rectangular box so that we put the right picture on the right side. Remember your left hand and your right hand, and we read a fantastic book. We learned a lot today. So it's spring break for some people, and then some of you might have already had your spring break. So I hope you're enjoying your spring break, and sometime during your spring break, or even if you're done with spring break, I hope you're still reading, and having fun and learning, because reading is fun. All right. See you next time. Keep reading.